For FR and AFM and other subjects like practical, practice is the main key. As many questions as you practice, that's gonna help you.
One subject or something was pending before I went to study leave, which I have covered during the study.
Then full-fledged revision for 4 months, like 2-3 revisions for all the subjects and 3 mocks, then pura complete.
After office, I used to sit very late nights, wake up early, go to office again. There was a tough phase, yeah.
I think one thing what I can summarize from all of your discussion is start as early as possible and complete the syllabus before you get into your study leave.
Before we start this video, do like and subscribe to our channel and not miss on any updates.
So, warm welcome to everyone. Good morning. And I think it is just 2 days since your results have come out. So, I pretty much am sure that most of you are still in that joy of clearing the exam. I think this will last for probably a few more days. But then, once that is done, I think, there will be a lot more questions, a lot of thoughts, what you should do in your career, what is the, way forward, path forward and all that. So, this conversation here today, what Suraj and I and all of us are having with our Indigo Learn students is primarily twofold. One is to focus on, or rather to understand what you guys, the way you guys prepared, what is it that your journey basically in the entire last 6 months or in fact last 2.5 years as well. That is first part. Second part is then probably about kind of advice or suggestions that you would give. We will put this overall conversation for roughly about 30 to 40 minutes kind of a thing, not beyond that. So, would request everyone to be brief. Then and finally, of course, on what how are you seeing your future today? Sitting here, I know it is very difficult. One of the favorite interview questions is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? That's a question that is frequently asked, but I don't think that's a fair question. But whatever said and done, today sitting here, what do you envisage in your future? And probably I and Suraj can share our thoughts as well and how we should think. We also went to something similar. We also had similar journeys when we cleared our chartered accountancy exams. So probably something could be useful, but again, you guys are all Gen Z, right? So probably we are all millennials. Not sure whether everything would sync up. But definitely we'll try and give some perspective on what we think and whatever little suggestions. So that is a broad agenda. So Suraj, you want to take forward from here on?
Yeah. So again, good morning once again to each one of you and congratulations. And to all the students who will be watching this subsequently, we have with us our students who have cleared in the November 24 examination, the so-called one of the toughest examination. Every student who writes the attempt, they feel their exam was the toughest. If you ask me, you have not seen November 2009. We had to write, all questions were compulsory. That is what I keep on telling. Okay, but anyways, having said and done, thanks everyone for joining in and for your time. So we have with us Sudipta. She secured All India rank 27 in the November 24 examination. She is AIR 3, right, Sudipta? So she's also an in CA Intermediate. We have Likit Sai with us, who has been with us in our journey, in his journey with us in the intermediate and final. Same with Himanshu, he has been with us from intermediate and now he has qualified. And same with Priyanka. Priyanka, special mention for her orientation towards securing exemptions. Okay, so I think 8 out of 8 exemptions in intermediate. Yeah, and I think 5 out of 6. Himanshu, I might have forgotten your intermediate scores because we didn't talk about so much at that point of time. But he had done good in intermediate as well, and in final, I remember he sent a message saying he'll secure around 400 marks. That was his estimate after the exams were concluded, and he ended up securing 407.
7.
Yes. Yeah. Chalo. Now over to you. You could share what were your experiences, how did you prepare? So we'll start with Sudipta, then Likit, then Himanshu, then Priyanka, in the order I see on the screen, right? So with starting with Sudipta, so what are your thoughts and how did you prepare? How were your 2.5 years of preparation journey and the examination thing?
Yes, sir. First of all, thank you so much, sir. It's a pleasure to to be able to share whatever I have gone through and whatever has been my strategy, or you can call the preparations. So first of all, I would start with the classes. As soon as I got into my articleship, within I think 6 months or max 1 year, I'd already started with AFM from Sriram sir, and uske baad I went to like FR and then other subjects I started. So for the preparation strategy, what I'd say to the students is, see, once you get into the articleship, you have to get a hang of the work as well. So you cannot start your studies right after. You'll have to give your work some time to understand what is going on into your work, because you have to do well in that as well. You can't just take your studies and your work separately, but it has to go hand in hand. And like once you get a hang of it, then you start your studies and get through it. So for FR and AFM and other subjects like practice is the main key. As many questions as you practice, that's gonna help you. For theory subjects, ratta is one thing that you can do, but more than that, I think more important than that is conceptual clarity, because I think November 24 ICI did focus on conceptual clarity in all the subjects, like we saw that pretty much. So that is one thing. And practice is one thing, conceptual clarity, and then consistency is one thing. Planning, you have to plan your work, you have to plan your studies, you have to set daily targets, you have to achieve them. That is one thing that you need to do. Apart from that, breaks is also a must. Maybe for me, like I can study straight for like 2 hours and then take a 10 to 15 minutes break. That may not work for everyone. So one of the most important thing that you have to do is you have to devise, or you have to prepare your own plan. You can take the strategy videos of others, but you have to tweak it to your advantage. Like for example, I am a night owl, so I can study the whole night and then sleep the other day and get up late in the morning and again sit for study. But that may not work for others. So if I'm saying that, okay, I have done this and this and this, so that would be my thing ki nahi, raat mein padhna hai, itna padhna hai, and I'll have to complete that. But some of you may be a morning person, so you might, what you can do is you can modify that and plan accordingly. Say ki I'll get up at maybe 4 or 5 in the morning and then do the targets accordingly. So that is something that I have always done, like right from the starting. And I'm proud to say ki I've achieved rank in all the 3 levels. Even in foundation, I had got 32. So that is a
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. So that is
I had
something.
a couple of questions there, follow up. So when did
Yes,
you
yes, sir,
actually start
definitely.
preparation? That is, you said don't start immediately, start after what, 6 months?
No, you can start it, but what I'm saying is you have to get a hang of the work as well.
Okay.
Like, because that is going to help you in real world.
Understood, understood. And you are
Yes.
also, one of the big 6 articleship, right?
Big 4, PwC.
PwC. So Priyanka is from Deloitte,
I'm
right?
from Deloitte, yeah.
Yeah, and Himanshu is EY.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
Yeah, Likitsai, you're from
Grant Thornton.
Grant Thornton, and Sudipta, you're from
PwC.
So we have
A big variety.
good variety, and the proof that a lot of people have this assumption that if you're working in a big 4 or a big 6, and then the work does not allow you to study. But I think we have live examples here where all of you have been able to manage work and as well as the studies. We'll move to Likit. What was your overall strategy?
So yeah, right after articleship, I have actually taken a break to get a hang of work. Mostly, I started with AFM from Sriram sir and done it like a bit wise for a long of 1 year. Only after 1 year, I got that seriousness kicked in, and after the notification that the new syllabus and 6 papers came in, then only I started preparing as a whole and full pledged. But my first 1 year, I have dedicated to get a work exposure, full work exposure.
Okay. So basically, you started working after studying after 1 year of your articleship, if I can.
Yes, proper straight.
Okay, great.
Then
Yeah. Then I
So
started with.
I had actually follow up for all of you. Suraj, we should do it that way, or I think we should come back for follow ups later.
No, I think first we should take a broad strategy. We should not influence what they are planning to say. We can ask our related follow-up questions and students' questions also.
Okay.
Yeah, so after 1 year, I get a hang of like doing both the work and studies as such, except for the seasons. Then I started with all the studies, like doing whenever I get the time and weekends. So that's how I plan to complete the studies before I go into study leave. That's the one key factor. So almost my one subject or something was pending before I went to study leave, which I have covered during my study.
Okay.
And then I aim to do like the proper study, one-time study, and 2 revisions before giving the exams.
One full study plus 2 revisions. Great.
Yeah.
Okay, so Himanshu, what was your overall strategy?
Quite similar to what both of them said. Like I started as soon as articleship, I guess in March 2022 started. So roughly around till December, January, I started my preparation with FR and AFM. Like I remember talking to sir, so sir said, ki, these are the 2 lengthiest subjects. So I covered up, started then first did FR, then AFM. Then my plan was as soon as I talked to my senior, so they told just one thing, that try to complete all your classes like before revision, before the study leave. So my aim was just like that only. Ki wherever I do, whatever I do, how much does not matter ki break kitna ki up to June, like when study leaves just started. So I should have been completed like classes by. So that was my goal. So I did like all the classes one by one, DT and IDT last. And so, and the new syllabus for notification was already out. So I had started planning according to that only. So law costing like SPM like 1 week or so earlier, and then full-fledged revision for 4 months, like 2-3 revisions for all the subjects and 3 mocks. Then pura complete revision with 4.5 months complete study kiya, and then wrote exams.
Great. Thanks, Himanshu. Thanks for that. Priyanka, over to you. What is your broad strategy in the last 2.5 years?
So I was a regular college student. So my TY, I had to go to college. Attendance was an issue over there. So yeah, in the first year I had college, but simultaneously, what mistake that I did in my first year was I took costing as my first subject, and I completed that.
Oh,
Same to
that's
Yeah.
a heartbreak actually, right?
I know, but there was uncertainty as to when the new syllabus would be introduced back in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up taking costing as my first subject because in inter I was not very well at costing that I felt. So in final I took it as my first subject. But alongside I was also doing AFM by Sriram sir. So I completed a few chapters, but my main focus there was costing. I completed that in Jan 2022, and then few months like simultaneously also articleship was like rigorous. Regular college was there, so there was multiple things. And post like completing that subject, I took FR, but FR took a very long time to complete considering there was articleship, there were college exams and everything. So when I like started 2024, it was the case like AFM, FR, Audit, all the subjects were done only half. I did not have started my DT, IDT, and costing that I already completed was not anymore a written subject.
Yeah.
So that was the broad thing, but I managed completing all my lectures before my study leave.
Even
That
then,
was a very hard phase. Yeah, I did. It was a very hard phase. I had to like after office, I used to sit very late nights, wake up early, go to office again. There was a tough phase. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So after that, you started your DT, and then you could complete it before the study leave which began.
Yeah.
So you mentioned regular college. I just have a question there. You're working in EY or Deloitte?
Deloitte. Yeah.
In Deloitte. So how did you manage college timings? What are the college timings?
My college timings were morning 6:45 to 10:55.
Okay, and then you from there at 7 o'clock. You let's say 11.
I used to reach my office by 11:15. They were considered about 15 minutes.
No, but considering Mumbai traffic, you would reach office by maybe 11:30 kind of a thing.
Yeah, I used to reach by 11:15, 11:20. Office and college were not very far, I would say.
Okay.
It was just 2-3 stations. So yeah, I used to reach.
Then you work for 12 hours to 14 hours to 16 hours, whatever time is there.
8:39 was regular from office, and then something at home also. I used to log in at home as
Oh,
well.
and then study. So I think that is a lot of effort. I think hats off. It is very difficult to handle so much of travel time, travel traffic, and all of those things. But still, it was good. So thanks for the overall strategy. I think one thing what I can summarize from all of your discussion is start as early as possible and complete the syllabus before you get into your study leave.
All of you agree that FRAFM is the first two subjects that you should study, correct? Any disagreement there? No. Okay.
Not
Okay.
because we are teachers of FR and that's why you should do it first. Okay. So I always have this complaint, FR one is it is lengthy, second is it is the first paper. First paper means student is already tensed. So students struggle a lot in this paper, right? So that is why we suggest them to start well in advance.
So out of FR and AFM, which one did you find tough for preparation, not exam? Forget the November 24 exam. What was tougher for you to prepare? Which was actually a genuinely tough subject, which you would think of it as guidance for subsequent.
I would say FR because it was quite lengthy.
Okay.
Yeah, for me also, I think FR.
FR only.
FR.
FR for me.
Even I find FR tough actually.
So the way it works is he has gone through entire FR videos and I have gone through entire AFM videos once we record the lectures, right? So his consistent thing is like, I am forgetting, you have taught something, I have forgot. You have taught something, I said, even I forget some things that I have taught. So, that is how it works. Okay. So what was your, strategy for FR then? Feel free in any order. Now, there is no specific order we are following. Respective strategy, tougher things, how did you manage?
Anyone, guys?
Conceptual clarity, like spend more time on things which you don't get.
Okay.
Second thing
You
is
did short
practice. Yeah, short notes for some standards maybe. Yeah, it depends on.
And you
What
took
I
only.
did,
Yeah. Sorry. Go on, Priya.
so what I did was for each standard, there are like some measurement principles or some journal entries that are very common in that standard. Or take for example consolidation, the overall presentation is very consistent. So I used to prepare pro forma notes like ये बहुत common है, ये सब में ही आने वाला है. I used to also prepare the words that were required to be quoted in the answers, like keywords that every standard has. So I had prepared a separate notes for that.
Okay.
So one thing that you can also do is, like take up like one big standard and 2 or 3 standards simultaneously so that, bored nahi ho jata ki, this is a big chapter and, these are, so your smaller concepts are also covered and your bigger concepts are also covered. So do that helps actually. And ICI module is very lengthy. It may seem like, there are too much content in that. I would suggest you to go through it at least once, like in the starting stage, but considering the time constraint and all, you can also go through the faculty's notes and, so you can practice as many questions as possible. And at least, even if you're not able to go through the whole content of ICI module, at least go through the examples, illustrations, and the test your knowledge. That is very important. So that is one thing that
Himanshu?
students can do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I agree with like start by take one smaller or one big chapter together so that you do not get bored, and then practice is the key for FR and AFM both. Like just what the revision, like what the lectures first reading, then take the notes, read from the notes, and then start solving as many as questions you can.
But one question I have common is all of you completed 100% of all our classes, FR and AFM? Or any one of you left anything saying, Acha, TK, this I already know? I mean, see, you will anyway leave some 5% here and there. I'm talking about 95%. Did you all finish all classes 95%?
I
Yes.
left a few chapters in FR, like theory chapters. I did it on my own.
Okay.
Oh, fine. So now moving to AFM. So what do you think of the strategy for AFM and what is the most difficult part of handling AFM? And also I have a question. What did you do with that question where the interest rate was not given? Hit my question. Okay, so you can. Anyone, if you start, bro.
I'll go first, no problem. So in AFM, so I solved the entire module, I would say 3 to 4 times each chapter. In the first revision, I used to mark with pencil, which are the difficult question. In the second revision, I used to mark with a blue pen. In the third one, I used to mark with a red pen. And then if in third revision, if something is still there in the red pen, I used to use a green pen in my fourth revision.
Okay. So that's a very, very structured approach in figuring out the questions, I would say.
Yeah, because it was something in AFM which I noticed was the questions somewhere or the other. I would say, okay, 60% of the questions in the paper would be from the module. That was the pattern that I noticed in the papers.
Mm.
So I was like, module is something that I should be thorough with.
So same like I did module. मतलब module was the first step. कि मतलब at least 60-70% is from module. The paper questions came from it actually. So around 3 to 4 times also I did solve modules. And apart from it, I in revision I used to try as many new questions. So I used to take questions from old course. Like they were quite new and interesting. So right from like May 2010, I used to just randomly take question paper and see the new questions, like interesting, confusing questions, which were relevant, of course. So I used to do it, and yeah, module only, like solve as many times as we can.
No, but you didn't answer that what Suraj asked. Ki, how did you solve November 24 May, that question which did not have interest rate, that specific
Uh,
IFM part?
yeah, I actually did for like 5 to 10 minutes. I solved using equations. I even like question was it was not given, the rate was not given. I took 2 to 3 pages and solved like to made 2 3 confusing equations, and like even I was not knowing, and even the checker will not know what I am doing. And then I moved on to next question because 5 to 10 minutes was wasted. So I was not leading to any conclusion. And then I came back like my 10 15 minutes paper completed earlier. So I went back there and did solve the question. And then I realized like in the paper also there were a few spelling mistakes. So I thought that they might not have given the rate. So I like even I actually wrote the answer like the question cannot be proceeded further without the rate.
But
Like that I took
none of
it.
you thought that you could assume a rate and solve the question?
Yes, sir.
I
But
did
I
think
assumed a
that,
rate of 10%.
Sorry?
And I have solved
10%,
it.
yeah.
Achha, Likit solved with the 10%. Sudipta?
I also did think about using the 10% rate, but then I had other questions as well. So I was actually seeing the question like 2 to 3 times if I'm missing something or if I'm missing the rate somewhere it's given or something. But then I was like, I also did Himanshu, I agree with you completely. I also did some equations and all with X and everything I did. And then last week I had to also write, like the equation can't be solved because the interest rate has not been given because I didn't have time
What?
after that.
This was the advanced capital budgeting question, right? There was another question on IFM also, no? That RADR rate, risk adjusted discount rate, where USD, somebody goes and invests abroad, the money comes back and all that. What did you do for that question?
I think that I left
I,
for
I
choice.
Acha.
yeah, I also left.
Even I got that
Same
question.
choice.
So
I
I
was
think
planning to attempt that question, but in the middle I found okay, इसमें कुछ तो गड़बड़ है. So I'm
Yes.
like, जाने दो ये.
so.
Exactly.
If at all you are getting your certified copies, do share your FR AFM certified copies with us. It will help us to guide other students. What is to be done in such kind of a scenario. Yeah,
Sure,
Likit,
sir.
your AFM plan?
Even from the preparation time, I had a hardship in understanding what is right and what is wrong. At last, convinced with what ICA is telling.
Oh,
So, from an exam perspective.
Acha, okay.
so in examination, first understand what is right, and in examination, go and write what is given in the material, right? So there is one
Yeah.
thing, what they do is, if some answer has been given in their material, so finally when they send the solutions and all, if something is given in the material, they'll consider that and the right answer. Both of those are considered for evaluation. But anyways, we don't know how checking happens, so nobody
Yeah,
wants.
taking the risk
We
factor in.
cannot take that risk, so we cannot take that risk.
Yeah.
Then coming to audit, what was your pain point in audit? How because it's so much to remember, so much to write. Himanshu had a very bad experience in CA Inter because of the checking. I have personally reviewed his paper. You'd have scored at least 15, 16 more marks in audit. So what was your approach?
So I like audit basically I followed module only because my article is in audit only, so I did not take up any classes. So I felt there were also quite a few new chapters. So till that time I started, there were no videos for lectures for that new chapters. So I started with audit only. Like I used to similar to FR, I used to read that the basic material also that the Bayer Act, the Bayer standard. And I then for revision, I used to like have writing practice, like was the key. So for in revision, I daily write one or two questions, and during the last month, I devote specifically early morning hours, 4 to 5 hours every day, like for 30 days, 4 to 5 hours morning में like audit मतलब revise करना ही है, like one two question लिखो, मतलब पढ़ो, revise, recall. So my friend मतलब like my colleague used to give मतलब like advices for audits. He told like मतलब more important than revise it is recalling. So before you start any before you start any topic chapter, just recall what you was there. So you get a broad overview idea about what was there and what how much you remember, and then try to add more stuff into it, and then basically you will go together. And my order was like from the section wise weightage, 20 marks was allocated to professional ethics, and then five specifically for that ESG and digital. So accordingly, like used to know because my horrible experience in inter. So मतलब भाई इतना तो कवर करना ही है बेसिक, मतलब 30 20 मतलब 30 तो एटलीस्ट कंफर्म करो, फिर उसके बाद आगे आके आई यूज्ड टू मूव ऑन.
Others, what was your audit strategy?
So for me, what I did was when I started with the classes, I used to take maybe one or two standard ka classes and then get into the concept notes or the module for those two standards, then get into the question bank. So those two standards are done along with the classes. So that was during the classes. For the first revision, again I had to like go through the module once because you tend to forget. Audit is one theory subject is one thing that you tend to lose touch if you are not reading it on a regular basis. So once my study leave started, I took up audit, and then I used to, like Himanshu said, you have to sit with it every day for like an hour or two. For me, the one bad thing that happened was I actually got tennis elbow in my right hand. So I was not able to, do much of writing practice because prior to like maybe in April or May I got, and I had to like take physiotherapy daily for 3 months.
Oh,
So that was something, yeah, 2024 has shown a lot because year starting me only I got COVID. Actually, my attempt was in May 24. I had to skip it because my 2 months were lost in COVID ka bad effects and everything. So I couldn't give in May. And then right after I was recovering from COVID, I got this. So writing practice is something I couldn't do. But what instead I did was I used to scribble. In audit, even if you don't write the whole thing, you need to remember what you have studied. So what you can do is just remember particular concepts. Just take up one or two concepts or one or two questions. Write or scribble. Just scribble in doctor's handwriting as well. That also works. No, not an issue. But take up the keywords and key points and just scribble. That does help a lot in recalling the things.
definitely. How about
So,
it? What was your audit thing?
For me, audit went in a very haphazard way. Unlike others, I used to skip classes, watch it. Again, I feel like, oh, is this audit? So that kind of thing. But the proper study, I think I did it only during my study leave. The one foremost thing I have done is taking the other material and comparing with the ICA material. Is there any carbons and carvotes? That's the foremost thing, because we need to trust the faculty in audit, because it will be difficult if we go into different materials in audit, because everyone has their own way of explanation in audit.
Correct.
So I just done the first study with the mapping the ICA material, and I got build the trust and just continued with this flow. That was
How about Priyanka?
So I was in tax articleship. Okay, so audit was something very remote for me practically. But audit, what I used to do is while traveling, so after completing my lectures, while traveling, I used to watch revision or concept guides in metro and all. So that helped me to recall the concepts. And weekly, I used to, like, while the lectures were ongoing, my classes had weekly tests. So I used to write weekly tests initially, but of course, after a few weeks, the momentum broken. So I used to write a lot of questions also in audit by my own. I was very focused on questions rather than the module in audit particularly.
So that was group one, and then now move to group two. When did you start DT IDT preparation, and what was your thing, and which one you found more difficult?
So I go first. Like in from DT IDT, I probably started around last year of my articles from last year because of amendment. So I started last in the last year. Did first DT because it was after longer than IDT. So I took my classes, and then because classes is like very long, so 3 months. And then apart from self study, and then IDT was short. So like in classes, apart from classes, I used to like hand write questions, practice questions simultaneously as homework जो दिया है वो. And then I moved to IDT. IDT probably 2 months it was my classes went over just before 1 month before going to study leave, like my IDT classes were over. So and apart from like classes, the question solving, and then in revision stayed like a study leave. Then I went for like full fledged 2 to 3 revisions for each DT and IDT. Used to like learn provisions by art, and then solve questions, and including that recent RTP MTPs are a lot of helpful in particularly in DT IDT.
Yeah, anyone can go next.
Yeah, I go next. So I have done IDT coaching like 3-4 months before my study leave, and I have completed the classes and the questions practice by then. Direct tax I have started directly in study leave because I have been in tax articleship for like almost 2.5 years. So I got that edge, and the one thing I have done is I ordered the author books and pocket edition of Bear Act, which was helpful in IBS as well. So I just done a self study of the entire 4 modules, mapped in a separate sheets, like with the page number of the question, the hard, medium, or easy for me, and the just synapse of the testing, what they are testing in the question.
Yeah.
So that's how I summarized the entire 4 modules into like 16 pages or something. And for the provisions, I did make short notes for NR taxation, where there are rates are very confusing. So short notes helps. Other materials are useful for last revision, and Bear Act is useful if you want a good overall understanding and then easy finding in IBS. Yeah.
Yeah, for DT and IDT, actually DT is a 3 month course, as Himanshu said, but since I was in tax articleship and I had lesser time left for going to study leaves, I completed it in around 1.5 month DT, and IDT I took another 1 month, lesser than 1 month something. And for revisions, I could devote very less time to both of these subjects because my focus was on FR, AFM, and audit. That took my most of the time. So DT and IDT, it was only like 5 days, 7 days for each subject that I could provide.
Oh.
And for AFM, FR, audit, it was like every day I had to club these subjects with DT, IDT, say, because if I left audit or say FR for one day, the retention was difficult.
Okay. Now, how about you, Sudip sir?
I think same thing for me, sir. I agree with all of the three that, I also started my DD classes like in the last year of my articleship because of the amendments. Even if you study before that, you'll again have to study the rates and stuff. So get a hang of the provisions, practice as many questions as possible. You do number of adjustments in DT, but ICI or the institute will have 1 or 2 adjustments which will be new every time. You can't, expect all of the adjustments that you have done to show up in the exam. But again, it does help. Practice is the key. As many questions as you solve it helps.
So all of you studied more than one subject at a time, right? Even during initial study period as well as in revision. I mean, I know revision certain days you would have allocated only specific subject by subject, but initial part of your study leave, you were doing more than a subject at a time, and even during 2 years of articleship. Is that correct, or do you think that is wrong? The way
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can absolutely take up like 2 to 3 subjects depending on how much you can do. Maybe one practical and one theory along with it. So that balances out the
others?
So while completing classes, I had a mix of subject like I used to club FR and AFM, so that FR, considering it's very lengthy subject, at a point of time you can get like bored of it. So I used to club AFM or either audit with FR, and DT and IDT went hand in hand.
What about you, Himanshu and Nikhil?
So for me, sir, I took one subject at a time. Like I did not get even time for that one subject. So forget about second. So matlab, one subject at a time. I used to finish FR first, then AFM in same order, audit, and then DT, IDT. Like,
So we have a lot of current batch article students who are working in Big Fours. They have enrolled, but when we check with them, sir, we don't have time to study or complete the classes. That is right. And just a quick thing on IBS. What do you think would have helped you in IBS paper this time? Like carrying so many books or concepts or what you learned in the core subjects? What actually helped you?
And one more point, what additional prep did you do for IBS other than studying these 5 subjects? I mean, did you dedicate a lot of time for other subjects like, those costing and economic loss and all that?
So I go first. So here in IBS, our core preparation does help a lot in identifying and comprehending the solution, like where it comes. And the three things I would tell for IBS is prepare a detailed index in your own way. Second thing was have your short notes and question banks ready. And the third thing was ICA materials are must. In this IBS paper also, I have spotted like around 15 to 17 marks directly from ICA material. I have just copy pasted it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Others?
Go ahead, Sudeep.
I think it's a mix of all, like whatever preparations you have done for your core subjects, it helps, especially when you have time constant, because like 4 hours is not enough to like copy paste the whole thing from the module and write it down. So when you have like maybe 30-45 minutes left, at that time what you can do is rely on whatever you have studied for the other subjects and at least write something in your own word, even if you're not able to find it from the module or from anywhere. Just go to the concept notes directly or recall what you've studied and write in your own words. It does help you in that. And I think IPS is one subject where calmness is must. In that 4 hours you tend to panic a lot, even if you know something, उस वक्त कुछ याद नहीं आता है, honestly. So you'll have to look through everything and again, but then you have to just give yourself 5 minutes. And then personally for me that happened. Even I had studied everything, all the other subjects. I was seeing the questions and I was like, what is this and what to be done? So calmness is a must. You have to remain calm in those 4 hours. Panic, you will panic, but then you'll have to, be like, all is well. Okay, I'll get this. I'll be able to find it and I'll be able to write it down. So that is one thing that I did.
Yes, others?
Same, completely agree with what Sudipta said. Like even sir, we discussed that calmness and like you should have patience of mind while solving those 4 hours. Well, and also what she said, matlab, there should be at least 1 to 2 questions where means you should know by heart that you don't have to open the book. So particularly for FR AFM, like practical questions, theory you will have to open study material might be, and for FR AFM at least you should know questions that you can solve on your own. So you should save time. Like I remember, like half an hour it was left, and I had one full questions left. But thankfully it was easy, so you did not open even the books. I completed just a minute ago the paper. It is very lengthy. You must, like the coming students should at least practice one mock paper or even November 24 question paper so that to get hang of it. And for preparation per se, I did not do anything extra, like did the 5 core subjects. And in the last 1.5 day, I watched some revision videos for the law and costings to get, I did SPM 4 or 5 months earlier. So to get for revising, I watched the revision videos for law and costing and then took everything. Like, for IBS at least, you should know all the study material, what was in. Basically, you should be able to figure out कि तो कहाँ पे क्या चीज थी. The module is the key. तो module में you should have hang of module all the subjects for IBS. Even if you for individual subjects you may or may not do, but for IBS you should know what is in there, what is there. because I solved practice papers from like that paper 6F, it was multidisciplinary in old course. So there were questions like from module only, and I used to solve. So even that it contains some box, a gray box in their audit. So the questions were also from there. So I particularly followed the entirely module and did the same.
Okay. Priyanka?
Yeah, so in IBS module is like module of taking the module of every subject in the exam is the key. So what many people do is just they take their faculty notes and everything, their faculty books, but module is the key. What I noticed in the during the paper was in law paper they ended up asking from an example,
Hmm.
the example that was there in between, not the illustration, not the practical one, because for illustrations and practical there were a lot of indexes available. On the internet there were a lot of indexes like practical question, whatever are the keywords, it will be marked, it would be there in the index, but they ended up asking from the example. So if you don't have grip of the module, you will not be able to find that. It was a copy paste question in
No.
law particularly. And even in audit, what I noticed was they were asking from the illustrations, the examples, and all of that. So even if you have a great grip on the module, IBS would be a cakewalk for you.
Oh, nice too. Okay, so I think we have covered all the subjects, overall strategy.
Sir, I
We'll
think,
yeah.
sorry for interruption. I think one more thing that I would add is, when you see the question, don't read the whole case study because it takes a lot of time. Directly jump to the descriptive questions because that helps you, find out the paragraph in which the information may be given. Because there's a lot of unnecessary content they give, and the case study is usually a 2 to 3 pages case study, so you can't go through the whole thing. First, directly jump to the descriptive question, find out what subject it is from or what concept it is from. That saves a lot of time. Then jump to the MCQs and then write your answers accordingly. So that is one thing that helps.
So yeah, so I think we have covered comprehensively for each of the subjects. Right, last 2-3 things. So coming to Indigo Learn in our classes, how were they helpful to you, and what would you want more from us from our side for the coming up students batches? I know if you can feel free to share those things as well.
So yeah, I go first. So like your classes, IndigoLearn classes helped a lot for particular for FR and AFM. Both you were too good in explaining the concepts, very short summarized manner, and particular forums and like doubt solving also. Whenever like for FR and AFM, I did not have any stress because so you were there available to particularly ask, and even personalized query you tend to reply quicker and like in the manner which we wanted. Because in the course like CA, we used to like watch classes and tend to forget. Matlab, we do not have much connections with the faculties. So like having a personalized forum and a WhatsApp group, they helped a lot. Like at least someone is there to guide you throughout, and not just the subject per se, but also you you both have guided in other aspects as well. And particularly the classes were top notch, no doubt.
For me, I also took FR and AFM from Indigo Learn, and the classes were really helpful. I'm saying, like, the classes made me fall in love with the subjects,
Thank you.
especially AFM Sriram sir. The depth in which you explain, sir, it helps a lot. And like for things also like the charts, maybe the head and shoulder or the candlestick. In AFM module, it's just one or two pages, but then you take so much time to show us what is there in real and how it works. And I personally liked it a lot. So AFM was made easier because of you. I thank you so much for that. And FR also, Surat sir, your explanations and all your illustration solving, it made FR. I was kind of थोड़ा सा मतलब ऐसे FR में you get that doubt and you get that stress, but it was all solved because of your explanations and your illustrations. So it was a really great experience with Indigo Learn, I would say. And one good thing is that I used to solve MCQs a lot. I know with MCQs they don't repeat the MCQs in exams, but that does help in your like clearing your minute concepts. something you would have forgotten, something you would have, like it will be at the back of your mind. But then take a 5 to 10 minutes. कभी भी दिन के कभी भी बीच में you just take up some MCQs, solve it, so it just makes your conceptual clarity stronger. So that is something that I like, it helped me a lot.
So just to add on, we launched in 2017, and our first module onwards, since 2007, even before Institute came up with the new syllabus, we had MCQs built into the platform, and that actually helped a lot of students in audit, especially. Yeah, Priyanka.
So I'll go with FR first because that's the subject that I started first. Okay. So in FR, what I liked the most was Suraj sir was directly teaching from the standard. Like it was the bare act of the standard that was used by him. So that helped me to gain first conceptual clarity. What exactly is written in the standard was something that we are learning and we are retaining out of it. Secondly, he used to give practical examples from his career, whatever he has learned, whatever he has applied over there. So that also, like stories help you to remember things out. So I particularly remember still in India's 19, you had given example of gold.
My own salary and leaves and all of those.
Exactly. So that something like that helps you to retain things, right? So that was very helpful. I would say FR, I had great conceptual clarity because of Suraj sir. I also have a habit of linking whatever is being studied to the module. So I used to easily map things while I was studying the lectures, particularly in FR. That was really, really helpful for me. Coming next to AFM, what Sriram sir used to say during the lecture is you will forget these particular things. ICI has not solved these things correctly. So those things help me to get a very good grip on the subject, particularly how institute wants it, how it should actually be. There was a clear distinction out of it. That was very helpful. And also doubt solving. When I used to post doubt, Sriram sir had a very detailed explanation out of it. I very well remember like few of the doubts I had comparing. I was comparing like why this particular something is given like this in module and why we are solving it like that. So Sriram sir had a very beautiful explanation for that. So I was very happy with studying that.
Real
And
options, I
also
think.
in IDT, I had also taken IDT from Indigo Learn. So even IDT, Shriv sir was there. Shriv sir used to beautifully explain through illustrations, through directly using the module language. So that was also in Inter, I had taken the full course. So that is the particular reason why I took IDT also from Indigo Learn.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks
Thank
everyone for sharing your inputs. Now, quickly, everyone would know. Students also look forward to people who have passed, secured ranks. What are you planning to do next? So each one of you can share your, in about a minute or so, what is your future plan? Well, not long term, but at least short term. What do you want to do? Where do you want to start up? And then we can, summarize and conclude.
So sir, like immediate like 3 months with articleship, and then I incorporate only. I will move on to probably I have interest in like equity research and valuation, finance kind of stuff. So we'll probably find opportunities there.
But are you planning to do any course, MBA, CFA, or anything like that?
I'm planning to do CFA.
So I had suggested him to start off with CFA because he mentioned that he would be doing equity research or something. So
Okay. And Likit, I and Suraj will give our feedback at the end once all of you have spoken. Likit?
Yes, sir. I am coming from a deals taxation domain in my articleship. It is very interesting, and I'm still liking it because every deal is a very new aspect for me, like buy side, sell side, and structurings. I'm still thinking whether to continue or go into a full-fledged deal like investing side or a PE side of the domain, or either continue with an industry and look forward for further studies like MBA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Priyanka?
Yeah, so like similar because currently I'm in tax articleship. I am also liking tax as a subject, and the work that has been done is really fascinating over there. But besides that, I would be exploring a bit. I am seeing what offerings are there, what other career paths could be pursued. So I'm exploring a bit, and apart from that, of course, I would be continuing my further studies So I have an options. Like if I do something in tax, I would go for diploma in taxation or maybe LLB or something like that. And if I don't continue tax, if I move to finance or stuff, I'll probably do a CFA with that. But CFA in either case is a personal interest as well, because as a subject I do like what is being taught there, the equity research finance. Also in personal life I am liking that part. So even if I go with tax, CFA is something that I would like to do for my personal interest as a subject.
Right.
Sudeepta?
Yes, sir. I think same. I mean, I come from statutory audit articleship experience, but I think I would be exploring other options. Like maybe I would get into consulting or investment banking. I'm still seeing the options, but I would definitely go for my higher studies, like these people said, CFA or MBA. Like or maybe one after the other. So that is something that I'll need to decide. But yeah, definitely.
Suraj, you want to summarize? I have my
But
point.
I think you can summarize. Many want to do CFA and equity and research, right?
Yeah,
So,
so my suggestion, no, definitely do a course. So see, there is no point adding multiple alphabets after your name. Okay, after a certain time. So if you, let's say you're doing a CFA or MBA, at that point you should have clarity. Post CFA or MBA, you should have clarity what you're going to do. You can't then keep doing, I'll do FRM, then I'll do PhD, then I'll do something else. But if you don't have clarity, fine. But at certain age and certain time, you need clarity. I don't, if you have got clarity now, great. If you don't have clarity, try and work for next 4 or 5 years to get that clarity. It is very important in life कि मुझे क्या करना है. Very difficult to get that clarity when you're 21, 22. Okay, that is first thing. Second thing, please definitely study CFA or MBA. And one suggestion I have to everybody is please write CAT next time if you have not written this time. Even if you don't prepare, just it's 1,000 or 2,000, whatever the form is, just go fill the form and just randomly walk in and write. And I would actually suggest even UPSC also, just randomly walk in and write. It doesn't matter. I mean, nobody is saying you have to become an IAS officer. You see, later on in life, अरे यार मैं उस दिन करना था, once I should have tried, right? Because probably your ideas may change. कि लिखने के बाद अरे नो दिस इज समथिंग आई जेन्युइनली वांट टू डू ओके आफ्टर यू राइट यू से अरे ये सब कचरा कौन करेगा फाइन दैट इज ओके बट प्लीज ट्राई बोथ ऑफ देम ओके जस्ट रैंडमली वॉक इन आई एम नॉट सेइंग प्रिपेयर आल्सो इफ यू आर गोइंग टू प्रिपेयर एंड डू ग्रेट second thing is when you're going to do an MBA my suggestion is if all of you have plans for MBA please explore international MBA also don't limit yourself to just say some IIMs or ISBs or anything because the one big factor a lot of people weigh in for international MBA is money. They cost more than 1 crore and all that. But what does happen is the reward is also equally high. Let's say you do from a Wharton or a Kellogg or a Harvard or LBS or any of those places, rewards are equally high and you get loans and all that also. So, and those MBAs you don't do when you're 21. Those MBAs you do when you're 24, 25. Okay. So work for 2, 3 years, write CAT in between. If you get somewhere you want to join. Otherwise, parallelly write GMAT also and see if you want to study of those. And any of you want to do PhD, then all of this is irrelevant. Okay, if all this is not the right thing to be doing, right? Probably write an MBA, do IIM somewhere, and then probably want to do a PhD. That is great. But trying to do so many courses and doing a PhD is not really the way. If you're really genuinely a PhD person, you already know that you're a PhD person. हाँ मुझे PhD करना है, right? So this is the broad thing, and don't, as I again keep saying, no, there are other courses also. FRM है. It is purely a finance risk manager course. अच्छा है, see, because learning and education is great fun, but then to what end is also very, very important. So I would, some of you might want to do ACCA. 3 subject लेके तो हो गया, or do CMA, or do CIMA. But किस लिए? For what purpose? You need to have that clarity. If you don't have that clarity now, no problem. Most of us don't have that clarity. Lots of us are people like that only. But try and work for that clarity. Work for 1 year. Talk to people. Engage with seniors, connect with people on LinkedIn. The way you guys have all prepared for your exams, no, it was a very structured preparation. Unfortunately, I was not so structured when I was preparing, and I realized that
for unstructured, I am still unstructured even today. Okay.
Right. Yeah, we both have a fight on that. So we guys are not structured. You guys are very, very structured. So when for a single exam of your, in your life, you guys are so structured. Imagine how structured you can be or what you can achieve if you are structured in your thought process on your career. Right. One typical way what people do is what what would I be happy with when I'm, let's say, 60 years old or 70 years old? But yeah, but in this generation, that's a very difficult question to answer. So I would rather say, seek out what gives you the kick, what gives you that enjoyment. That is a easier way to figure things out. Okay, 60 साल के बाद मैं क्या बनूंगा, that's all very hypothetical. Okay, 5 साल itself is a very difficult thing. Right. So my suggestion is, please explore, talk to more people, be structured, have options. I will do this, then I'll figure out if this works or not. If not, I will do this. And if any of you have startup plans, start now. Okay, कुछ startup वाटअप करना है, 22-21 में चालू करो before you get married and have kids, because that is a very difficult journey post doing all of that. And this is not from my experience, I'm telling from a bunch of experience of my batchmates and a bunch of other people also. Right. So this is broadly what I had to say. Suraj, up to you.
And a lot of things have been covered. So first thing that will hit you is when you go for campus interview, you're not sure what is to be done. Where do you want to join? Okay. Few things where you should not be joining generally is like, banks, relationship manager. You'll have a lot of these options coming up. Okay. Look at larger corporates where you get exposure in financial planning. There is one more role of management accounting that is also a good role. Don't get into budgeting kind of a stuff, only budgeting. Okay, you should have a wider thing. Then a lot of companies like ITC and all, they come with internal audit. So if you have a long term plan of I want to become the, let's say, CFO CEO of a company, then that also gives a very good exposure. 2 years of internal audit experience in a company like ITC, you'll actually know inside out of what happens in the operations, how businesses are managed. All of that is very important. But again, as Sriram mentioned, over a period of time, you should be actually liking it. Okay, it should not be that one side I want to do equity research, for example, but I am joining internal audit of ITC. That these are very very tangent thing. So some of my friends, they were very clear. We want to join taxation only. Okay, fine. Someone like me was not clear. क्या करना है पता नहीं. ठीक है, जो मिला internal audit मिला, ठीक है. Let me join internal audit. I worked there. Then I moved to finance. Then I realized नहीं मुझे teaching करना है. So and not because with the information you have right now, we can't say this is right or wrong. Right or wrong we'll know after 5 years, and no need to regret. Once you realize this is not made for me, I am not here to do this, financials and all of those things, start looking for what other things can be pursued as soon as you realize. Okay, that is one thing. And one more thing, what happens is when you work for any company for 1 year or 2 years, initially don't have great expectations that, okay, I have passed CA now, I'll be the finance manager, everything will be under me and all of that. It doesn't work that way. Okay, it will be slow. You have to transition from your articleship to industry. That is very, very important. Okay, and that is as far as the career side is concerned. You want to do more qualifications, like I wanted to do, I bought materials for CISA, Certified Information Systems Audit के लिए. I read 5 pages, I was bored, तो साइड कर दिया उसको. ठीक है. I did CIMA because company was sponsoring, उसमें कुछ पढ़ना ज़्यादा नहीं था, कर लो, ठीक है कर. If you want to do something like that, maybe ACCA you can just write the exams to get a perspective. Okay, but I would not suggest you to go and do CMA US. That doesn't add great value at this point of time for you, right? Then things like if you want to do CFA, very good, start on time and you can pursue on that thing, but don't add too many qualifications. ACCA, CMA, CPA, CFA, no, not, 1 or 2 qualifications that will give you a broader perspective. CAT, what Sriram mentioned, I also wrote CAT. That actually, increases your confidence, your analytical skills. Even if you can spend 1 month in preparation and just write, okay, that will actually shift your perspective altogether.
So it will definitely change perspective. So I wrote my CAT once when I was in BCom last year. Then I again wrote it. Then immediately after CA, again I wrote it, and I got into a couple of IIMs, but I chose to join ISB. Okay, so I would strongly suggest you do that CAT part well. Not for anything else. You will realize that life is not all about balance sheets and finance and all of that. There are a lot more stuff which how you are measured against other people. Because even though CA is a tough exam, there are a lot of more smart people who are not CAs. Okay, a lot of IITians, engineers and all that. So you will actually get exposed. So my ISB batch was extremely competitive. Okay, there are a lot of rankers, CA rankers also, but the rankers would nowhere feature in the top 5%, 10% of the batch. Okay, and non-rankers feature in the top 5%, 10% of the batch. So it is a very different way of checking and all that.
So that's what I was mentioning. Don't run for multiple qualifications. Do write CAT as Sriram suggested. That actually gives you a perspective. And for MBAs, if you're doing a domestic MBA in India, look at the top 10, top 15 institutes. Okay, that is where you will get the right kind of exposure for your future. Apart from that, beyond that, below those levels, there is no point in doing anything further. And that's it from my side. And all the best for your future career. And if at all you need anything, any help, any guidance, feel free to reach out to us. You have our numbers, and we'll be more than happy to help you. And it was a nice journey seeing all of you from moving from CA inter and now becoming chartered accountants. Wish you all the very best for futures as well. Yeah, right?
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, sir.
All the very best. All the very best.
Thank you
And
so much.
do keep in touch. Do keep in touch. So looking forward to to catching up with you guys later. Okay. All the very best.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.